I think you're the first person so far that's actually been on time.
That's unfortunate.
You were on here before I was.
No sweat, dude. I try to not be on CP time.
Yeah. How you been doing?
I'm doing great, man. Training, working, training.
Yeah. I like those guitars back there.
Yeah, man. That's my favorite backdrop. It's either the guitars or the weights.
Those I've seen you on Instagram playing a few times. You still play a lot?
I don't play a lot, actually. My daughters all play. Well, my youngest two, so they mess with the guitars more than I do. I mean, I can play, of course, but I don't play every day. Not even close. I mean, I may pick up a guitar 2 or 3 times a month.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
2 or 3 times more than I do. I have an acoustic one that my goal was to play it a lot, and then you play for a week, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I got the calluses. I'm really jamming." And then you put it somewhere where you don't really see it, and it kinda just starts getting dust on it.
And it goes away.
Yeah. I should do what
Yep.
you do. I should hang them up on the wall, that way they're always visually right there, and I have to see them.
Well, it doesn't help. I don't play any. Well, I mean that's not true actually, because like people will come in. Like just recently, my friend Lauren, she's a musician. She comes over and she's like, "Oh, for all the guitars," grabs a guitar off the wall and starts playing. So yeah, actually, having them in sight works. We just grab them, or someone comes on. Oh, can you play? Yeah, I can play. We'll grab a guitar and we'll play. So yeah,
Yeah,
take that back. It works.
that's cool. So, yeah, thanks for jumping on the podcast with me. Give a little history of me and AJ. I first met you through Chris at, what was it back then? Beach City's Krav Maga in Huntington
That's
Beach,
right.
Westminster. You were the local badass at the gym.
I was.
Yeah. Yep. I saw you before I actually met you. I always saw like, okay, that's a big dude. One of these days I'm gonna go toe to toe with that guy. And I think the first time we went toe to toe, what happened?
What did happen? You know, you're bigger than me, right?
Yeah. I ended up on the mat, passed out. Remember
Oh yeah, that's right.
my green belt test for Krav Maga? I hit the deck, and you know what the first thing I said to when I came to, I was, AJ or Abel had my feet up. I took my mouthpiece out, and I said, "Did I get knocked out? Did AJ knock me out?" He says, "No, no, 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 man, you passed out."
Yeah,
So
that
yeah,
wasn't me.
yeah, right. I do. You were kicking my ass though. That was for sure. I remember Abel also told me. He said, "Hey, you're gonna get your ass kicked anyway. You might as well start throwing some punches." So that's when I popped up, and I just my eyesight started going, and that was it. I just hit the deck. So
No, that was a tough test, but our tests aren't simple, dude. They're not easy. You earn every freaking every bit of it.
yeah, no, and I loved it too. I think that test in particular, I had a migraine the first five. When you do like the cauldron or whatever they call it, the first couple push-ups, bam, right above my eye, I had a migraine
Let
kick
me
in.
let me stop this thing. It's Sorry about that. It's pretty noisy.
Yeah, no worries.
so so you were saying.
Yeah, so I had a migraine kick in the first 5 minutes of that test. I told Brett.
Oh, that's right. I remember, dude.
Yeah, I said, "Hey, go grab me some Tylenol or something, man. This is gonna be a long day." And that's the start of my day, and the end of my day was the last seeing you, and then hitting the deck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
So,
Speaking
but
of which, how's your shoulder?
my shoulder's doing well. I had surgery back in November, and then I got frozen shoulder. Um, I did a tactical training with Tim Kennedy in January,
Ooh.
and I was really nervous about if it was going to hold up. So I actually called Chris Newton, and I said, "Hey, I got this testing come up. Let's roll. Let's test my shoulder out." And so, as you know, Chris doesn't go easy, and you
Yeah,
know,
no, he doesn't know how to do that. No.
yeah. So once the mental part of it, like it didn't pop, didn't snap, it hurt, but everything always hurts at my age. So I just said, you know what, I'm done nursing it, and I went to that tactical training, loved it. Um, we did 10 hours of hand-to-hand combat, jiu-jitsu, rolling, everything, and
Hmm.
then tactical training. But yeah, it held up pretty well. I actually I forget what they call it, but they get your own blood, they spin it, turn it to plasma or something, and they inject it. What is it? I forget what they call it. But the doctor said it was liquid gold. He puts it in there, and it basically is your own blood. Um, I don't know. They did some kind of trick thing to it, and actually,
That sounds like pretty good there. I'm assuming it's not like a stem cell therapy, but it still sounds pretty cool.
it's very similar. Yeah, I think it PRP or something like that, where they take your own blood, spin it, put it back in, and it's supposed to be, I don't know, it's some kind of magic. It worked magic on me, so that really helped the healing a lot. But then I also just got back from Mr. Bose and Chris's tactical training up in Vegas as well.
Saw that. I saw the pictures from that.
Yeah, that
How was
was
that, man?
yeah, that was awesome. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable fighting. You know, groundwork, up, standing up. I'm pretty comfortable, but my gun work is terrible. So, like I said, I took that one with Tim in January, and we only did pistols back then. But with Bo and Chris, we did a lot of rifle work. So I brought my AR and my 9 millimeter, and I loved it. I want to get as comfortable with my guns as I am fighting. You know, once we get the gloves on or whatever, I get a smile. I'm like, okay, I'm in my world. But the guns, I have still a lot to learn. And Bo was a great instructor. I mean, that guy is dialed in, and he knows a lot about his guns. So I loved it. I think they're going to do another one in August in Idaho that I'm probably
Yeah, it's
going to,
gonna be in Idaho. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I loved it. I haven't seen Bo in a while, so it was good to catch up with him. And Chris was there. It's always good to see him. But yeah, it was a great course. I mean, have you taken one from him, from Bo?
Of course, I've taken them. I've helped run them. The whole
Oh,
deal. Usually, I'm
okay,
gone.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just like I was doing I'm a terrible shooter, so I got a red dot on my 9 millimeter, and I put it on like 2 days before I went out there, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm terrible. The more I try to aim, the worse I am. So we did the very end, the last day, the test stress where you have to kick the pads, attack, and then you have to take your guy, which my guy, I don't know if you know Garrett, he trains with Chris. He's about 260. He said he weighed about 230,
Yeah,
but
I've put him in several chokeholds.
okay, well, thank you for that because he was my guy who was simulating being hurt, and I had to carry him, and then to one
Why'd you have to
spot.
pick up that monster, dude?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. He had a partner the whole 2 day course. He had another partner, and at the very end, his partner ditched him and said, "No, no, no, I'm not carrying you. Let Josh do it." So I ended up carrying him, but I went to the rifle work and I hit 4 times, which I hadn't hit 4 times all day, and 4 times I hit it with my rifle, carry him to another spot and grab my pistol. And even Bo was like, "What are you aiming at?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just all over the place with this thing." So my aim is terrible, but I'm going to take another course with Bo, and hopefully it gets a lot better. So yeah, that was great. But
it's, as you know, us Marines, we're very good at shooting things.
yeah,
So when I was in the Corps, if you score expert, they put you on the range to teach. So it's natural point alignment, focus on that front sight. Not focus past the front sight. Don't focus directly on that front sight. That should be a little bit blurry.
yeah,
Uh, the target should be blurry. You should see that front sight real clear, and the rear sight should be blurry. Right? The people think they're supposed to focus on the thing far away, but you're not. You're supposed to focus on the sight, and the thing far away should be a bit blurry. You got to keep right. So this is your target.
yeah,
So and for your case, it would be like this, right?
yeah.
So you're not focusing here. You're focusing here. But
Okay,
you're not focusing on me. You're focusing on this. You just keep this in the center of your sights, and then now this is directly in the center of my forehead. I'm done.
I could have used that pointer 2 weeks ago. I
And
was all
don't
over.
focus. Don't
I was
focus
all
on
over the
the
map.
target. Don't
Yeah.
focus on the target.
So speaking of your military background, is that how you got into the fighting and everything like that?
So Marine Corps is an interesting place to start your world, right? First in, first out. Um, So when I got out of Marine Corps, plus when I was in, I did a lot of combat places. So I was in Somalia, and I was in Kuwait, and I was in Iraq, and so I was in Philippines when a volcano erupted. I saw a lot of action type stuff. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, well, not when I got out, when I got off of active and I went to reserves, it was working in Los Angeles, and people were pretty hostile towards me for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I look like you want to punch me in the face. I don't know. Um, but my gut reaction, when you walk through the self defense scenarios, every time I walked through them, someone was not going to make it, right? Because the only thing I knew how to do for the Marine Corps is cause massive damage.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that out of my system because I didn't want to hurt anybody. So that's when I took my first martial art, which was Aikido. And
Okay.
Aikido is all about redirecting people's um, momentum
Hmm.
and using that against them without actual attacks. And that worked. I did it for 2 years, and then that worked. So that's how the Marine Corps and martial arts gets to play. Marine Corps, you know, combat is a type of martial arts in and of itself.
Hmm.
Um, but that's how I got into traditional martial arts initially. And then the reason I got into Krav Maga is then in 2008, when I was even off of reserves, they found me and as a civilian sent me back into Iraq with the Department of Defense
Wow.
to help rebuild the fiber optics backbone in Iraq. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go. It was a choice. I didn't have to go, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, fine, I'll go. Um, what type of weapon? You're not gonna have a weapon. I'm like, you're not gonna give me a weapon? No, you're not gonna get a weapon. I'm like, oh. So then I said, I better find something else to defend myself. I talked to a friend of mine. His name is Doug Jackson. His boy and I's mutual friend. And then he said, well, you should do what I do. I do Krav Maga. And he introduced me to Bo. And then, so Bo knew I was going in country. So Bo started training me. He had just started the school, actually. So Bo started training me one on one backwards. So I needed to learn what to survive in country with.
Hmm.
So I learned black belt stuff backwards. And then when I came back, I started learning in the opposite direction from the beginning.
Why didn't they give you a weapon? Why? What was the reasoning behind that?
Because civilians don't get them.
Oh, you went over there as a civilian?
I was with the Department of Defense, but that still counts as a civilian. I wasn't enlisted.
Oh,
I
wow.
wasn't I wasn't actually in the military anymore. So I was a government employee with the Department of Defense, and no, you don't get a weapon.
Oh, wow.
And it
So
was a
then,
hot spot. It was when I got to. It was so ridiculous when I arrived in Iraq on Iraqi air. Um, the the base was on the opposite side of the airport. So you arrive at the airport, and then you can just walk to the other side of the airport. You get into the base. But when I arrived, they wouldn't let me get onto the base. They wouldn't let me enter past the airport because they said something was wrong with my paperwork. But it's nothing wrong with my damn paperwork. They wanted me to give them a bribe
yeah.
of somewhere around $3,000, and I'm like, I'm not giving you any money. So they actually shipped me back to Jordan. So then I had to finagle my way, being the jarhead that I am, and I got on an embassy flight and flew directly into the base. And they should be a little concerned about that because I managed to do it. Because when I got to the base, they're like, "What the hell are you doing here? How did you get here?" They threatened to put me back into the city. Well, put me in the city of Iraq because of how I got there through an embassy flight when I was supposed to come on a commercial flight. My paperwork wasn't for an embassy flight in.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in this room with a bunch of army dogs, and there's maybe 5 people. There's like a that's E7 and a sergeant, and then a couple civilians, and they're talking. They're talking about how, well, we're just gonna have to put him off base. And I'm standing right there, and I'm like, there's not enough people in here for you guys to get me off base. You're gonna need some help.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. So ultimately, they just found me some space, and they worked the paperwork out on themselves. They didn't care. As a matter of fact, the fact that I was a Marine didn't help me at all. They're like, whatever. Yeah,
Really?
they didn't care.
Wow. So how long were you on there out there for that? That? Well, I guess being a civilian out there. How long were you out there
Uh,
for?
I was out there for a while, man, and it was not very fruitful. I couldn't really get a whole lot done, to be honest with you, because I mean I tried, and I drove all around that place, digging up holes, looking for where the dark fiber was, trying to talk, but if they just were not cooperative in any way, shape, or form, and if there wasn't money directly being given to them, they didn't have a whole lot of interest.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't actually build any fiber optics backbone at all because it was not possible. There was fiber, but there was no way to connect it. There were no resources technically, so
So when
couldn't
you
take
went
it.
out there looking for a place to put it, were you traveling with like a caravan or protective or like how was that? You just going out there with the team with your
Dude, they gave me a white pickup truck and the keys and said good luck.
and no weapon?
No
Jeez. Wow, that sounds like a smart move on their part. Jesus.
It's the life of a jarhead, man. I'm like, oh, fine. Give me a piece. Give me a rope. I'll build a bridge. Give me a truck. I'll rebuild a fiber optics backbone. Whatever.
Wow. Did you ever have any confrontations or oh shit moments?
Yeah, there were several ups oh shit moments. So when I got there on base, and I'm not mentioning which base I was on purpose, but
Yeah.
when I got there on the base, they had just been able to kind of calm certain sections down where there were no longer, at least in the area I was, munitions coming over the wall. Um, but that had been for like 3 days, and that's where I was. I was like in the area digging under the ground where munitions had just landed several days before, and it had just calmed down. So I'm sitting there looking for the entry into the fiber optics hole, and there's another hole right next to it that was created with some type of round. So I'm like even if I find this, it's probably cut because you guys
Yeah.
see that hole right there.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
it was a
well,
shit show.
you made it back in one piece. So, thank you for your service, and I'm sure you got some more stories, but we won't dive too much into those. I know
Yeah.
in Krav Maga, I think it was Veterans Day and Memorial Weekend. You'd always, do a
Yeah.
really good course. You'd always, we do some more running and pay tribute, and I always appreciated those
Man, I
courses.
appreciate you coming to that class. I used to love giving I used to love giving those classes, right? Military themed, and I think I had people pretend like they were jumping out of a helicopter. Um, um, and we do PT like boot camp type workouts, and
Yeah,
I think we had the pugil sticks for a bit. Yeah, that was a
yeah,
good fun, man.
yeah,
And then we run with the flag and
yeah. Yeah, that was great. I appreciate that, and I again appreciate your service, and I'm a big supporter of everything you guys do.
thanks, man.
So rolling into that, so you did Aikido, you do Krav, and I think you're doing 10th Planet. Are you still doing Jiu-Jitsu right now?
Yeah, dude. So my martial arts are pretty specific to Krav Maga. So Krav Maga to me is pretty much all you need for self defense. For 90% of what you could come across, and the other 10% only a small percentage of people would ever really have to deal with anyway.
Mhm.
But on a full scale, Krav Maga gives you something to deal with about 90% of the situations that you have to deal with if you go through the full system. But those holes, right after I got my black belt, those holes are like really specific to me, especially working with Chris. Chris Newton is he's a unicorn when it
Yeah,
comes to martial arts.
yeah,
I keep trying to explain it to him, and he continues to just glaze over it. But he is rare on this planet for who
yeah.
he is.
I agree.
Um, so we're training and we're working some of the different arts, I realized after I get my black belt and what I'm training is one of the holes in Krav Maga is ground.
Mhm.
Now it gives you enough to get the hell up, but jujitsu is one of those Brazilian jiu-jitsu in particular is one of those martial arts that's so complex and so sophisticated and so varied that just knowing a little against someone who knows medium, you
Yeah,
lose.
Yeah.
You lose pretty much in the story. You lose. So and us, even with Krav, it's all about striking.
Hmm.
Um, but if you're not careful, you get locked up in a way where striking just is not available to you.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, something's broken or you're asleep. So that's why I went for the jujitsu. And yes, so 10th Planet, I love those guys over in 10th Planet Costa Mesa,
Hmm.
is where I trained. Um, 10th P, and then Fullerton. And then there's a new one in Mission Viejo I'm going to go to. Who's one of the instructors there. His name Masalinas. He moved to Mission Viejo. So Coach Art, Coach Ruben, Coach West, all those guys are freaking amazing.
Do
Um,
you guys train gis there, or are there no gis at Tin Planet?
no gis, no
Yeah.
gis. And so the reason I chose no gi is because, like I said, I do Krav specifically. I do everything specifically for Krav. So no gi. I'm gonna be out in the street. I'm not gonna have time to put a gi on. And maybe someone has a shirt, but that's not a gi. And gi, and there's nothing wrong with gi. It's great for sport purposes.
Yeah.
Self defense, though, there's not a collar and there's not a sleeve and there's not a belt, and a lot of the techniques are very specific to that. I tried it first. I still have my gi in the back.
Yeah.
So I've done gi, but I prefer no gi.
Yeah.
And 10th Planet has a very unique system that uses like a rubber guard and lots of different movements to manipulate the body as to simulate a gi, which kind of puts your partner at a disadvantage if you're flexible enough. Um, so that's why I got into the jujitsu thing, specifically to kind of fill the holes and I've loved. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
Jujitsu with 10th Planet since 2018.
Yeah. I agree because I started out in jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna age myself here about 20 years ago, and we were just in a high school gym, just beating the shit out of each other. And I never had a gi. I never used a gi. So
Mm-hmm.
now, like everything I do is more reality based. Like I have a pretty good boxing background, jiu-jitsu background. But like somebody over the weekend asked me about jiu-jitsu, and I said, well, are you looking to do it for sport? Because gi is fine, but if you're looking for self-defense, I would train how you would have, for me, flip flops and board shorts are my everyday. So I like to
Mm-hmm.
fight in flip flops and shorts. You
Yep.
see me walk
Yep.
in there, I'm in board shorts, I kick off the flip flops and I go. And the gi, I think even Eddie Bravo stated that he didn't want the gi because he wanted the most realistic. If you're either in the cage for UFC or if you're on the street, you learn a lot of bad habits, like, to the neckties and all that stuff and
Right. Right. It's
grabbing
bad
on.
habit.
Very rarely are you able to grab on something so tight and use it in a street fight or in a reality based
Right.
scenario. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think it's good, like you said, have a base of everything and fill the holes. But I agree. I mean, I had Chris on this podcast, and there's always the people who are going to say, "Oh, Krav is this. It's not reality. The jiu-jitsu is the way to go, or boxing is the way to go." And I think he really dissected. I mean, like I call Chris the encyclopedia of fighting. Like everything you want to know, that guy is so well educated in mixed martial arts. It's amazing. And he really broke it down. Just said, "Hey, Krav has a place in street fighting and doing all this jiu-jitsu, yeah. But if you roll it all into one, you take jiu-jitsu, you take boxing, you take Muay Thai, and you roll it all into your Krav, which what he does. I think it's one of the best things, and I agree. I think like I said, I have a background in it all, but Krav is more reality based, and that's how I got into it with Chris. Is I said, well, hey, I just watched the news and this happened. What should I have done if that was me, or what should this person done? And being older and not going to bars, not doing any of the knucklehead stuff that 20-year-olds do. I'm more about protecting my family. I'm more about protecting myself, being more self-aware. And Chris introduced that to me, and I can't thank him enough. And he just opened a whole new world. And that's where I met you and the whole Krav studio. And yeah, I think Krav is super beneficial for reality-based scenarios. Um,
So I get a lot of people, and I've seen lots of people compare Krav Maga to all the different martial arts. And let me just point this one thing out to you, because a lot of people don't get this. So Muay Thai, you know, Jiu-Jitsu, karate, all of these arts, you can actually either train in them or you can go to a tournament and watch them.
yeah,
Boxing, right? And when you win, someone's got their hand up and they're like, "I won." and what the other person lost, right? It was a win or lose game. And Krav Maga is not that. Krav Maga is a self defense art.
Mhm.
So if you got scars on your face, your nose is broken, and you're beat up, but you made it home safe,
Yeah.
you won.
Yeah.
You follow?
Yeah.
So Krav Maga isn't an art that's no. Granted, you take it to the next level, and yeah, we do a ton of sparring because the only way to get you have to get at fighting is to fight,
Yeah.
right? But ultimately, Krav Maga is for self defense. You're supposed to get away and be safe. They put a gun in your face, you get it off. They attack you with a knife, you defend it, and you're gone. You're not going to stand there and hang out in a knife fight.
Yeah.
You're not going to stand there and hang out with multiple attackers. You're going to fight one at a time, and you're going to get the hell home. You
Yeah.
follow? It's not like I just recently saw someone sent me a video of actual MMA fight with multiple people, 2-on-2. I'm like, we're in the Krav Maga, we're not going to stand that. We're
Yeah.
out of here,
Yeah.
right? So now Jiu-Jitsu is different. I love the tournament. Competing in tournaments is super cool. I'm going to do my first one here shortly, but um, that's different. I got to hang out in there. I'm going to
Yeah.
play that game. I'm going to hang out in this motion where actually, if I got you in a triangle in self defense, my finish is knocking you the hell out.
Yeah.
If I'm on my back and I'm not in self defense, I don't want to be in there. Somehow I managed to get you in this triangle. I'm not trying to choke you out. I'm trying to punch you out.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I tell people too when they ask about what Krav is. I said the number one rule in Krav is to get home to your family safe. So whatever it takes, whatever. If I got to pick up a rock and hit you in the head, or if I got to bite your freaking ear off, like Chris loves to do, you
yep,
got
love to fight. That's what
yeah,
you got to do.
you got to do it, and that's what I love. I love not the nastiness. It could be anything, but I just love the do anything to get home to your family, and that's what I
Right.
tell
So
people.
those
Like,
principles freaking work.
yeah,
You'll hear Chris, you'll hear all of us talk about Krav Maga. You got different people who teach it, and there's different levels, and you can have bad instructors, good instructors for any art you want, but the principles of Krav Maga are solid.
yeah,
Those principles, you apply those principles, and you got one attack, and you've got one defense, and gun defense is a good example, right? So gun defense, you use those RCAT principles, you redirect, control, attack, take away, and you just and moving forward, and so you just apply that to pretty much any type of gun in your face, any type of gun on your body. You just apply that principle straightforward, and then
yeah,
there's little nuances to different angles, but those principles work.
yeah. Yeah, well, I was with you guys. That's how I got into Krav, and then I moved out to San Clemente, and I searched for a school. And like you said, a lot of sparring, a lot of fighting is beneficial, and I agree. This guy
Mhm.
said, I said, well, so when's your guys' fight night, or when do you guys fight? He goes, oh, we don't fight here. We don't fight. I said, why not? He says, Krav's too dirty and nasty. We would kill each other. I said, oh my man, thank you for your time. I said, well, I did ask him. I said, how do you get your belts and how do you test yourself? He said, well, we do 3 2-hour workshops with the instructors, and if you show that you know what you're doing, then we give you progress. I was like, oh, that's a bad scenario. So I ended up joining an MMA school out here in San Clemente, and
Yeah, that's the best scenario, Chief. See,
yeah,
that's
so
that's
I mean, not that I like it, but I do like getting mixed up and getting, like we always talk about. It's better to get hit in a controlled environment and know how you're going to react, and get hit on the street and be like, "Whoa, shit, I don't like that," and curl up in a ball and just get the shit kicked out of you.
no. You gotta get used to getting hit. You gotta be okay with getting hit. You can't let that hit create a shock
Yeah,
because that next thing after that could be the end of you. So no. So
yeah,
nothing about what they're doing. Let them do whatever they want. I don't agree with that.
yeah,
Um, Krav Maga is a combination of lots of arts, and one of them is boxing. So box.
yeah,
When we talk about those holes, this comes to Chris too. So Chris started training me in Kali, which is Filipino art of knife and hand, and then Krav has stick, and that's the screamer. So, but let's just stick with knife for one, because the arts I train, which are Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, but then Kali and the screamer. But let's stick with Kali for a second, because the one of the other holes I think that Krav has is extreme knife. Extreme knife.
mm,
Basic knife attacks Krav has pretty well done. It's overwhelming aggression, move forward, destroy the head. That's what's controlling knife. That works. But advanced knives such as Kali and Eskrima, which Chris knows. Chris, by the way, is one of the few Kali instructors that you can ever have, actually.
Right.
Um, um, that knife, when you start learning the sophistications of knife strikes, knife targeting, and the whole manipulation of the body around the knife, when you understand how sophisticated that is, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot turn a blind eye to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and until you get your eyes open with how absolute horrific a trained knife attacker is, once you do, you will pay close attention to how to get better at that. And
Yeah.
that's what happened with me when I learned through Chris about knife and the different ways that those attacks can happen, and how Krav doesn't have a direct answer for those. And with a gun, you get that off of you, because someone pulls a gun on you. Let's just talk about that scenario for a second, right? Someone puts a gun on you, and they put the gun on you, and you haven't been shot. They mean they didn't want to shoot you yet.
Yeah.
They want something first. That gives you a second. Someone puts a gun on you is because they usually want something. If they want to shoot you, they'd have shot you from a distance, or they'd have shot you. So you get that opportunity to defend yourself. So that opportunity is, you get the gun off of you, you get hands on, you're 80% there.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep it off and you destroy, especially if it's a semi-auto, because you got your hand on the slide, and it's not going to cycle another round. Okay, now take the same scenario with a knife. Someone pulls a knife on you, and they threaten you with it, and they're just holding it. This is kind of like the knife thing, right?
Yeah.
But someone pulls a knife on you and they start stabbing, and it's not like the movies, like it's
Yeah.
sewing machine.
Yeah.
That's the real scenario. Someone pulls a knife on you, or they're just wild and they're crazy, and here comes a knife. You only have to get an artery nicked.
Yeah.
And you have one everywhere a limb connects. Just get it nicked.
Yeah.
Or a lung punctured. Did you understand? Or a deep gashing wound. Or into your larynx. Or into your eye. Right? So there's, with a knife.
No. I'm way more scared of knives than I am guns. Like just you talking about that, it's like, I hate the slicing of knives is brutal.
So Chris does a really a jerk move, which is very valid. He says, okay, so we're gonna do knife. Okay, so okay, he rips out a real knife, opens it up, and says, okay, now defend it the same way. You're like, wait, dude, come on.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Knife is effed up. So you really, really, if you have the knowledge, you can't turn it off. You understand that, then how do I defend it? So let's just take it to another step. So now you're got a knife, and you're down on the ground.
Mm.
So you're now on the ground. You don't have the knife. The other person have the knife. I don't care how you're on the ground. You're on your side. You're on the top. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You're on the ground. The other person have a knife. Work that scenario out.
Yeah.
Because you're already in the ball, right? So when you're standing up, I'm nice and tall here. Okay, so I can keep my distance. My arteries are way over here. I got some tendons that you can cut, but they're over here. We're on the ground though. Now we're in the ball. So all those arteries and tendons are right for the picking. They're all right in front of the person with the knife. You
Yeah.
follow?
Yeah.
You did this with yourself. Radio, right?
Yeah.
Brachial, femoral, carotid.
Ugh.
Right?
Yeah.
They're all here.
Yeah.
And now, so yeah, you need to. So that reality you can't turn a blind eye to.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I love about training knife with Chris. And now I take my colleague to a whole nother level. Um, and I train it, and I've got other schools that I attend colleague instruction from, but it's important. And then the Screamer is the same thing. Those Filipino arts, man, are dangerous.
Yeah. How do you find them out here? How do you, like, who else teaches Kali out here besides Chris?
So there's a place, physically, there's a place called iKali, which stands for Indigenous Kali.
Mhm.
That's a pretty good system. And besides the fact that they're traveling seminars, but they have a course that takes a couple years on the path to be a instructor,
Mhm.
a professional instructor. So that's the system that I'm in. But it's not easy, because that's the whole point about Kali, right? Kali is one of those, and all the Filipino arts are pretty much secret arts.
Mhm.
Um, but they're not so secret that the authorities don't know that they're dangerous, which is why you can't just be walking around with a screamer sticks.
Yeah.
You get put in jail faster than that than having a concealed weapon, um, because that's how dangerous those arts are.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. You just gotta search and find and do your research and actually have conversations and then see what the people are capable of. You just don't take it for granted that they say they know this and that's going to be good enough, and that's what you have to do. But
Yeah.
I do suggest, as you in continue your martial arts journey, that you look at the different pieces of the different arts. Muay Thai is also a fantastic place,
Mhm.
to grab some more additional stuff. Judo is another place to grab some additional stuff because judo, aikido, eskrima, all those things are inside of Krav Maga.
Yeah.
Then we can show you the different techniques. But like you take the rifle, right? The thing is, all of those other arts, like I said, Krav Maga has answers. Jiu-Jitsu does not have an answer for someone putting a gun in your face while you're on the ground
Mhm.
or a
Well,
rifle.
yeah, Chris showed me back in the day of why it's not good to go on the ground. I think it was like a Brazilian plaza or something, plaza. And there was a skateboarder got in a fight with a guy, and the guy knew jujitsu, so he got him in his, or he got in the guy's guard, and he was pounding him. Well, that skateboarder had 5 or 6 friends that the guy didn't know, came up behind him and took a machete and just stabbed him in the back. And I'm like, Chris, this is brutal. And the guy just lays in the plaza. The other guys take off, and he's just like fidgeting and he's dying.
Yeah,
And
he's
he goes,
done.
that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to end up on the ground. You never know with whoever's around, how many friends. There could be a guy with a bottle, a knife, whatever the scenario is. And just sink in that don't go to the ground and get in. You know, you don't want to get in a, you might overwhelm yourself and go, oh, this guy bumped me in the shoulder. I got to really pound him. Well, you always need to be aware of your surroundings because your buddy or this guy could have had 5 friends who are waiting in the wood.
Well, the person who wins the fight is usually the person whose friend shows up first.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why we get out. Like
Yeah.
that's the beginning of our conversation. Krav Maga, pop, 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 gone.
I
Pop, pop,
think
pop, gone. Two people, pop. I'm not gonna fight two. Pop, I'm gone. Right. So it's the get home safe is our goal.
they call it run Magal, right?
Run Maga, get home
Yeah.
safe. Overwhelming, insane aggression, and
Yeah.
then I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. That's Krav Maga, and that's self defense.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we do a lot of sparring, but that's not because we're going to spar in the street. It's to get our chops clean, to get our abilities flowing, so that we can not get in our own way when we're doing self defense, and we know what it's like to get struck, and we get that eye, or we can see things to develop. Right, so we see it develop, and we're already there ahead of time. Once you like, if you don't spar for a while, and all of a sudden you're sparring, you realize you lost your eye a little bit.
Yeah.
That eye to see those things develop, saw that kick develop, saw that takedown develop, and you need to keep that stuff sharp. And that school that doesn't do any type of sparring, like none,
Doing a
they
disservice.
they just don't have. They're not gonna. It's not intuitive. You're not gonna just get it by osmosis, or just because you think about it.
Yeah.
You have to train that crap all the time. And I'm not talking about I trained it a year ago. You need to train it yesterday or 2 days ago or last week. And oh, it's been a week. I better get back on that horse because that stuff, those skills are perishable.
Yeah. That was one of the things with my shoulder surgery. I wanted to get back in and spar, even if it was going to hurt. I just wanted to get the contact. I wanted to get the muscles twitching and flowing. It's like you said, it's not something you can go on YouTube and how to fight and just watch it and go, okay, now I know how to fight. Now you got to get in there. You got to mix it up and find out what you do know, and you're going to find out what you don't know real quick when you get in there with somebody. And that's what I love about it. I love out here in MMA, the school I go to, we mix it up a lot. And
Tell me about that school. What type of sparring you guys do? You guys do stand up with full MMA with takedowns?
well, I because of my shoulder, I only did the boxing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I got in there with a guy who's a firefighter. He's 6'6". I've never fought anybody that big in my life, and that dude,
That sounds like fun.
yeah, he's a big. Usually, I'm the guy with the reach, and he's got reach. So I'm now like the small guy trying to get inside. And man, you take a beating trying to get inside. I didn't realize 'cause I'm always fighting smaller guys, and you take a beating when you come in. You got to get in there. But I loved it. So I was doing the boxing, and then when my shoulder was okay, I ended up going to Cabo for 3 months, and I found a school out there, and we were rolling. We were doing jujitsu. they actually had some guys getting ready for some fights. They were smaller guys, so I was, we were training them. We were sending them fresh guys all the time and jumping on them. But yeah, I mean, I actually rolled my ankle. I was rolling with a 140 pounder, and on the ground I can hold, but we got up to scramble, and little dude's always just. I'm not quick. I don't claim to be quick, and he just was coming at me, and my ankle popped, and I was done for that day, and actually the week after. But yeah, so now I'm back here. So now I'm at. It's called Fight Strong in San Clemente.
Hmm.
They got a lot of good guys. I haven't done the Muay or the MMA. My son Kingston does the Jiu-Jitsu out there. I haven't had a chance to get in there yet, but everybody I see and know there are great people. They do actually. They had a turn. What is it? Black Belt Collective had a tournament there, and the school I'm with now was there.
Yeah, I
Berlin.
was there running that freaking tournament, so
Yeah. So that
I
girl
know the whole thing.
Berlin, the 13-year-old girl Berlin. I don't know
Mm.
if she placed or not, but Abel posted something about her. She's one of my son's teachers. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, good school. I really like all the people there. Adam Watts is the head instructor. He's the owner.
Nice.
Really nice guy. And the boxing coach, the guy reminds me of Mickey and Rocky. He's just like an
Mm.
old Italian, like no bullshit kind of guy. Like, get over here and this and this and this and that. He's like, I'm not going to teach you how to eat and do all this. He goes, but I know fucking fighting, and I'm going to teach you how to box. I'm like, I'm a sponge, my man. I've been boxing for a while, but I'm not claiming I know anything. I'm a sponge. Give it all to me. He's like, I like it. Let's go. And he has the glasses down here, and we just go to war, and I love it. So Fight Strong and San Clemente is what I'm with right now, and we mix it up, and I love it. So yeah, but let jump topic real quick. Well, not too off topic. Did you watch? What did if you watched it? What are your thoughts on that YouTuber Jake Paul and Ben Askren? Did you watch that shit show?
So I watched enough of it.
Yeah, 2 minutes of it, I think it lasted.
So, okay. So here's my opinion, right? Okay, two different sides of it. So the first thing you have to say is the guy knocked out three people. Okay, they weren't children;
Yeah,
they were grown men, and he knocked them out. That's more than most people have done. That's in that he ain't shit.
yeah,
Well, how many people have you knocked out?
yeah,
Right. Well, they were they fighters? They were athletes.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So that's the first part. Next part is how many actual boxers out there um, only take fights that they're pretty sure they're going to win.
yeah,
Right. That's kind of a boxing thing, right? Once you're
yeah.
at the top, you want to stay
Cherry
at the
pick.
top, right? You cherry pick. Okay.
Yeah,
So that's also okay. Again, that's almost boxing culture. So it's
yeah,
difficult to complain about that, right?
yeah,
Um, and then the next piece is the cash.
yeah,
Right? So if he's in it to be a fantastic boxer, okay, great. If he's in it to get the money, well, he's doing freaking fantastic.
mm,
He's making a ton of money. He's making other people a ton of money, right? The flash of it all, right? He's getting paid. So at a minimum, he's that. Now let's go back to the sport piece. If you want to be a great boxer, boxing. If you want to do that, then go fight a real fighter.
yeah,
But then he's gonna get his ass whooped,
yeah,
and then there goes the money train. Right? So a lot of I think his whole thing is really the business aspect of it with the showmanship and the flash. Um, this guy that he knocked out, that guy should not have been able to get knocked out that easily. To be completely honest with you, I honestly think he didn't train enough.
yeah. Well, I think he just
Um,
had hip surgery too, early or late last year. So
Yeah, it just wasn't a good look. And this is a young guy. Keep
yeah,
that youth as a thing. He's got a lot of energy, and he's actually training. He doesn't need to even have a ton of talent. He just needs to be able to follow some basic instructions and understand fight. So if he's actually training, which clearly he is,
hmm,
right? He had a bit of ring generalship, like Mr. T would say, our instructor. His ring generalship was there's something there. He knows how to control and move around the ring.
yeah,
Would he be able to handle a professional boxer? Not yet, not really. But eventually, if he keeps this process on, he'll fight someone who actually has skill, and he'll get a bit of a challenge
yeah,
because he hasn't been challenged yet. But I would say The reason he hasn't been challenged in the ring is because he's clearly being challenged in training.
Yeah. Well, I saw a video of him, Mike Perry, the MMA guy. I think his name,
Hmm.
or no, yeah, it was Mike Perry, the guy with the tattoo, and had his girlfriend be his corner man. But anyway, he was boxing with him, and the kid was dancing around a lot, but Mike was getting in there and tearing him apart a little bit. So
That's right.
I think he's doing the Connor method. He talks a lot. He puts a lot of stuff on social media, and he's getting paid. So, and and,
Getting
and,
paid.
pe- and people are talking about it. So, do I like the
That's right.
guy? No, but can I knock his hustle? No, he's doing what he needs to do to be constantly in the news. He's in MMA news. He's in boxing news. He's in news. So, he's doing something right. I mean, hey, I think he's 23 or something. He can throw a
Yeah, he's
punch.
young, man. He
Yeah,
got energy. Come on, dude. That
yeah.
kind of energy and strength and stamina, that's a big deal. So, are you going to fight him? Are you the next one, or what's the deal?
Hey, if you pay me, I'll get in there.
Exactly, right? Because it's about the money. You drop 1.5 mil. I'll freaking fight him. Let's see what's going
Yeah,
on. I'm going to train my ass off. I'm not
yeah,
going to just show up there like, oh, he's a no. I'm going to train, train, train. I'm going to drop a ton of weight, and
yeah,
then I'm going to whip his ass. I'm not
yeah,
going to take it seriously, right?
yeah.
You can clearly see that guy asking. He didn't take it seriously, and either
Well,
that or he took a dive. One of the two.
yeah, and as he was walking out of there, he had a grin ear to ear, him and his wife, because I think they got a half a mil or a mil or something.
$500,000.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Once you get past, oh, it's a real fight. I think it was just entertainment. Triller, I think it
It
is.
is entertainment.
They had five or
It
six
is.
rap people. They had Justin Bieber. I mean, it was a spectacle. But damn it, I was in Dallas and I had that fight on, and I had the real fight MMA. I had Whitaker and
Right,
Gelbison.
right, right.
I had them split screen, and it was easy to watch more MMA because I'm not a big rap fan. So I mean, I liked Ice Cube and stuff, but that was a lot of going on. So
Yeah.
I watched a lot of the MMA, and then when that guys, I watched Frank Mir a little bit. That Cunningham guy was a boxer, and he was a heavyweight. He's older now, but he was a heavyweight, and I just don't think you could put. I like Frank Mir, but when I used to think I was a pretty good boxer, I would go to a boxing school and I would just get pieced apart. There's nothing you can like, especially now I'm older, that those guys start when they're 6, 7 years old and just boxing
It's
such a
all
technical
it's in their
sport.
blood. It's
Yeah,
like they will see things that you are not even capable of seeing and probably will not be capable of seeing your entire life because
yeah,
you can't go back in time and get it.
yeah,
And that's just the truth of it. When you like you take Mr. Gary at our studio, right? Mr. Gary grew up in a boxing gym. You need to listen to him
yeah,
because he knows things and learn from those old guys. You got Mr. T, right? Terrence Lawrence, the black belt. That guy grew up in a boxing gym. Freaking listen, those drills he's telling you, they work.
yeah,
Chris Newton, you know how many fights that guy has had? You
yeah,
freaking listen to him, right? He's not making it up. There's a lot to be said about those rounds and that experience, and over and over and over and over again. You're not gonna get that by guessing or
yeah,
watching a boxing match.
yeah,
These people. So I'll say to you, right? When you get the opportunity to train with a master, and even though the master may not consider himself a master, when you get the opportunity to train with a master, which I've had several, you take that opportunity and you freaking pay attention.
yeah.
You
100.
try to soak up as much as you can. You take what they say as religion and law,
Yeah,
and you put it in your system, and you humble yourself and you receive it. And if you cannot humble yourself, then you are going to miss that opportunity, and it's not coming back a second time. Because by the way, the master will recognize that lack of humble, and they just won't give it to you again.
that's what I think a lot of people lack. Like when I got into MMA 20 years ago, everybody came off the bar or the streets thinking they were the tough guy, and they couldn't be humble. They just like, oh, he cheated. He went took me to the ground. For me, and I still hold this mentality now, like you just said, I absorb everything. Like it doesn't matter if you're a black belt, if you know more of something than I do, I'm listening. I'm a sponge. I love the art. I love the sport. I love learning. So like you said, if anytime you can get a chance to go in and learn something from anybody who's better or just a different technique, I love it. And I recommend it highly to go into different gyms and different studios and whatever, and listen to their people and just go. And yeah, I think you're right. I mean, anytime you have to absorb that information, I would do it. But a lot of
Yeah,
people can't. They took that take that as that. Oh, I don't want to be humbled. I'm too big. I'm the big guy on the block. Da 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 da. And those people don't usually last too long in martial arts, at
that's
least
right.
the ones that I've known and seen. But everywhere I go, I walk in. I'm the humble guy. Just feed me information, teach me. I think that's the way I've learned so much, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's it, dude. And as long as you, and for anyone else out there, if you want to start a martial arts journey, have some level of understanding that you need to understand, and you don't know most of the time, which you don't know.
Yeah,
So you have to shut all that down, get some new ears, listen, take it in, and like every single one of my masters would tell you, repetition is important, but good repetition,
yeah,
right? Practice makes permanent, doesn't make perfect. So if you're training it bad, that's what's going to be in your system.
yeah,
Start with your practice.
yeah. Well, where are you training at now these days? You just mostly at black belt or
Right. So I teach at Black Belt Collective. I train at Black Belt Collective. I train at 10th Planet Costa Mesa, and then for Kali and Eskrima, I physically meet with my. So I have my Eskrima master. Um, his name is Dennis Long. I call him Sifu, and I train with him every Thursday. And then I have my own instructor too, right? I have a calisthenics coach. His name is Branislav. And he teaches me structure and mobility and flexibility and strength and mobility and flexibility. And that's insanely important for longevity.
yeah,
You already know I do parkour and gymnastics and stuff like that, so I'll train that at the different parkour gyms. And
yeah,
I have my own stuff at the studio, so I got enough to keep me busy. Um, and that's not even mention I got a job, so
yeah?
I got work too.
Do you do privates? Do you teach privates?
So I do teach privates on request.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of time in my schedule for teaching privates, but if someone needs something for a test or they have whatever, or I'm going to be at the studio and they're going to show up and train and they show up, by all means, I'll cover whatever. I believe when it comes to martial arts, especially once you get to black belt, it is now your responsibility to give back to the art.
hmm,
So I take that very seriously. So if there's something I know and someone is on their martial arts journey and they need it from me, I will make a way to get it to them,
yeah,
and I will answer questions because it's my job. This comes with the uniform. I have to do it.
yeah,
And that's respect of martial arts too.
yeah.
A
Well,
lot of martial arts in Krav Maga don't accept that, but martial arts is a way of life, and it comes with respect and honor. And if you lose that, then you're losing the art part of it and the history.
yeah. Well, I know I appreciate because when I came into that studio, I would ask you a lot of questions, and you were always, you always took the time to help me with some stuff, and I really appreciate it. You're a great instructor. You're a badass man, and I really appreciate you coming and taking the time today to jump on the podcast.
And I appreciate it. You got pie. I'm like, yeah, I want to talk. Let's talk.
But
It's
let
good
me
stuff.
let me ask you a quick question. Since it is the savage, you got the savage part down. The waterman. Have you ever been surfing?
Okay, so I love the ocean. I love to fish for one. I love
Okay.
fishing in the surf, and so I do that. And I only boogie board or body surf. I haven't longboard surfed at all.
Yeah.
I wanted to become a better, stronger swimmer, and I'm working on that. So I haven't longboard surfed. So no.
Well, you're still the waterman because of bodyboard, boogie boarding, and as long as you're in the water having fun, that's what I say. Because there is a big rivalry between surfers and boogie boards, but as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters to me is going out there and enjoying water.
Yeah,
So
man, I love it. I love it, man. I, I, had to learn that it's easier to swim in salt water than it is in a pool
yeah,
because of the buoyancy factor.
yeah,
Because I'm very dense, I sink, and I don't slowly sink. I
like
drop to
a
the
rock.
bottom through it.
Yeah,
So that's one of the things I had to start to get comfortable with, being able to, be buoyant in the
Yeah.
water.
Well, also the difference in the pool though, you don't have 5, 6, 10 foot waves breaking on your head continuously.
Man, I'll tell you the one time. Okay, so here I am. Short story. So I'm on my board, my boogie board, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm feeling pretty confident. And I see a wave coming. I'm like, okay, let me get in front of this one. I start paddling forward, and I got the timing all wrong. So I look back, and that wave started to break a tad bit early and way higher than I thought. So you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah. Take
You
that
just
breath and take it.
just take the breath and hold on to the board, and it slammed me to the bottom, held me there, and then put me in the washing machine
Yeah.
and spit me out. And you just gotta learn. You know what? I'm just gonna go for this ride, and
Yeah.
hopefully by the time it's done, I still got some air left.
Well, that's one thing about Mother Nature. She doesn't care how much training you have. She doesn't care how many belts you have. She'll beat
Nope.
she'll beat the shit out of you and just keep doing it. Keep doing it.
As soon as I came up, right, I'm like, oxygen, crap, another one
Other
just
one.
took me right back down. I was
Yeah.
like, "Ah."
Yeah.
But at least I got one breath, and eventually, I survived.
Well, another thing later in life that I've been doing is working on my underwater breathing and stuff. My son took a water ground course, and it really helped me get my breath under control. And there's different tactics you can do. So, I mean, you're all about learning. If you want to do one of those courses, I can shoot you an email. And
Shoot me an email, man, because it
yeah,
makes you that way you don't panic. You know what to do. It's just like being in a fight.
yeah, that's the biggest thing is not panicking, which is hard because I still see big waves. I'm like, ah, shit, and bam, you get worked. But controlling your breath and, like you said, getting that wash machine. There was times when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to make it. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, I'm going to make it. I might as well enjoy the ride. And I just kind of laugh underwater because I'm getting my ass kicked. But I'm still here. I've taken the beatings, just like in fighting and surfing. You take a beating, you get up, and you're like, wow. You can either say I'm never going to do that again, or like I do, let's go, let's keep doing it. How are we going to get better at this? So
Right.
yeah, it's surfing. They're both individual sports, surfing and fighting. You either it's your day. You either have a bad one or a good one, but all in all, it's going to come to how much you prepared for yourself. And
That's
yeah,
exactly right, man.
that's why
I
we got
completely agree with
the
you.
surfer and the kickboxer here, and that's my yin and
Well,
yang. You put the two
I
together, and
wanted to tell you that that logo is sick, man. I love
thank
it.
you.
Like we're sitting here talking, I'm like looking at them. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
badass.
So that's my yin and yang. That's what keeps me even kills. So the surfing and the fighting is what I'm all about. So,
That's what's
but
up. I love
well, AJ, I
it.
appreciate it, my man. It was great talking to you.
All right, brother.
The knowledge that you have is great, and I love everything about what we talked about today. It was awesome. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate your time, man. Thanks a lot, dude.
All right, AJ. Well, thank you. Talk to you soon. Later.